Who next? Who next? Who next?
All right, what's going on, y'all? It's Combo Breaker 99, and I'm back with another Who's Next. All right, as y'all can see, this Who's Next is for Marina Rodriguez. All right, let's talk Marina Rodriguez. All right, y'all, so it's been a few weeks now since Marina Rodriguez suffered a loss to Amanda Lemos. Crushing loss. I'm definitely still a little bit crushed. I still think about it because, you know, Amanda Lemos, she had a lot to gain in this situation, but for Marina Rodriguez, she had a lot to lose. You know, she definitely had a lot to lose. You know, she was fighting down. She was on a nice 4-fight win streak, getting closer to that title shot. And boom, she had to fight somebody like Amanda Lemos and suffered a pretty bad loss. Controversial to some because of the way it was stopped. But, you know, it's still a loss, and we just got to take it. You know, Marina Rodriguez just got to move on. And shout out to Marina, though, in this situation. Definitely shout out to Marina Rodriguez because she's been taking to Twitter, letting everybody know that, look, she's not shook. She's not shaken up. She's not mentally defeated. She wants to get right back in there and do it again. She wants to keep the momentum going. She's got some names on her list. You know, she's been tweeting and letting everybody know that she wants to get right back into action. And, you know, I got to give a fighter like that a lot of credit because we got some other fighters out here, you know, who suffer, you know, close losses and they don't know how to act. You know, after looking at Kayla Harrison and her split decision loss to Larissa Pacheco this past Friday, you know, and seeing how she just, you know, walked out of the cage, just kind of shows you how some fighters that just get everything fed to them, whenever the situation gets bad, they don't know how to handle it, right? When the road gets kind of rough, they don't know how to handle it, and they just kind of walk away, and they just kind of fall off the radar. You know what I mean? Not saying she fell off the radar completely yet, but she just kind of showing those signs that she can't handle being defeated. You know what I mean? And like I said, with Kayla Harrison, her loss wasn't that bad. Hell, she was fighting a girl that fought her 3 times, so she should have known that Pacheco would have figured out at some point, right? You know, Pacheco was always a tough opponent for her, so she should have knew that Pacheco was going to get that number at one point, right? But somebody like Marina Rodriguez, a lot of respect to her because, look, she suffered a bad loss, and in some ways, it was stopped premature to some people, right? Even Marina Rodriguez probably still thinks about it, you know, to this day that, hey, I could have kept going. But what did she do? You know, she didn't go crying about it and making up excuses. Yeah, she felt like the fight was stopped premature, but she's just moving on from here, right? And shout out to Amanda Lemos. So I definitely, you know, want to see her challenge for the title. I'm glad she did win as well because I like both fighters. And, you know, I was torn between both, but I definitely want to see her get her shot. But as for Marina Rodriguez, I like the energy. She wants to get back in there. She's been going on Twitter. She's called out Carla Esparza, wants to run that back. Then she put out another tweet, said she had 2 more names. Then put out another tweet, said there's another name to add to that list. So that's why I said I had to come back and do a Who's Next for her. Got to do a Who's Next for Marina Rodriguez and talk about who could be next for her as far as my opinion. You know, she didn't put out the names that she had, but this is kind of a combination of both. This is the names I'm assuming that she's thinking of, but it's also the names that I think could be on her list or should be on her list at this point, just going by who she's fought in the rankings, all right? So if she wants to fight her way back up, I had to put 3 fighters that are ranked above her, you know, to put her back into that mix closer to a title shot. Now, there could be some fighters that she might could fight down, you know, just stay busy until some of the other fighters get active. Then she could fight a title eliminator. But I think if she beats any one of these fighters, it could guarantee her a title shot again. You know, it could erase that Amanda Lemos loss and say, boom, we back in the mix, right? So I'm going to start with the most dangerous first. You know, I'm going to have to work my way up because I'm going to go by how the rankings are, which will, you know, give me reason to go that way, right? Because I was kind of like, okay, who should I start with? All right, we'll start with how they're ranked. You know, we're going to go from the bottom up on who should be next for Marina Rodriguez. I'm going to go with the plus and minuses in this one and just kind of break it down a little bit. All right, so for Marina Rodriguez, number 4, we'll go with the number 4, Jessica Andrade. All right, well, I know what you're saying. This fight shouldn't happen because she's coming right off a devastating loss to Amanda Lemos, which is true. But we're fighting our way up, right? So for Marina Rodriguez, the number 4 Jessica Andrade does make sense in some sense, you know. So Jessica Andrade, that's a fight she could take on because, say, if she beats the Jessica Andrade, that could definitely put her back in the mix. Because Andrade, as y'all know, she's one of the most dangerous pound-for-pound fighters in WMMA history. You know, there's a lot of stock in this fighter. You know, even with her coming off a loss, you taking on somebody like Andrade is always a huge task. You know, she brings a lot to the table. You know, her skills, her strength, her power. Of course, her strength and her power, outweigh her skills, but that's how dangerous she is. You know what I mean? And for somebody like Marina Rodriguez to go in there and maybe beat somebody like that, even by a decision, that could definitely put her in the mix, because if you move her out of the way, that'll put her above her, and Dana White couldn't argue. He could say, oh, wow, she beat Jessica Andrade. Okay, well, got to put her back in the mix because Andrade is a dangerous opponent, right? Andrade is also looking for that title shot, right? So if you can knock her out of the way, that'll guarantee you that road back to that clear road back to the title shot against Zhang Weili. Style-wise, of course, I would say it could be iffy now. It wouldn't be wise because he's coming off that loss to Amanda Lemos, and I think there's some things that she needs to work on that could really cost her in an Andrade fight as well. I think her defense still needs to be worked on as far as her striking. I like her offensive striking, but even then, sometimes I don't see her popping off a consistent jab. And to beat Jessica Andrade, you need a powerful, consistent jab. She doesn't use her jab enough. She has a good right hand, but she doesn't just, pop jabs off. She won't pop jabs right in the face. And I think that's why she didn't, that's why she came up short against Carla Esparza. Those wrestlers and those little monsters that come forward and those bulls, you got to tame them with the jab, So I think that's something she has to work on before you get in there with the Andrade takedown defense and just her overall physical strength as well. Somebody with her frame and her length really has to work on that takedown defense and get it to the point like it's like Joanna's, tall, long, lanky, but physically strong, and very good at just reversing your opponent and just using that cage to your benefit. These long, wiry fighters, they have to know how to use that cage to their benefit when you're dealing with these little wrestlers like that. So those are the bad points there, because I would say she's got to work on those things. But like I said, the good part about fighting an Andrade and possibly beating her, it would definitely get you clear cut to a title shot, because beating an Andrade equals like 4 or 5 of these other strawweights now. No disrespect, but that's true. Andrade's got that type of resume. All these other women, they know that too. That's why they don't be jumping at that task, right? But one of the reasons I don't see this fight happening, and that's why I just put it low on the list, is because they have the same manager. And as y'all know, I did a video where Marina already turned down this fight because she said she'd rather fight Andrade, or her manager wants her to fight Andrade if one of them was to win the title, right? Which makes good business sense for them, since, they're in the same pool and they have the same manager. He wants to make the most money out of them, fighting together. Fighting for a title. You can't make much money off of them fighting, when they're still ranked like 5 and 6 or 4 and 5, right? So he would rather one of them get the title than make that fight and get the most money out of his fighters, right? So yeah, don't see that fight happen, but I had to put that on the list because that's one of the ones on there that she hasn't fought. Moving up for my who's next, we'll see number 2. Let's go to the number 2, Rose Namajunas. Rose Namajunas, as y'all know, Rose is taking her little break off right now. And, this is a name that Marina's called out before, but at the time when she called her out, Rose was turning down the fight because, she was just kind of on her, on her mental break. She was kind of taking a mental break. But by the time she comes back at this point, that would be the perfect turnaround time for Marina, because let's see, Marina just fought a few weeks ago. So if Rose is trying to come back in like February or March, I think that's the perfect time, or March or April. That's perfect timing for Marina Rodriguez and for Rose. That's a good fight. Fighting somebody like Rose, that's a good test for Marina Rodriguez, as far as her fighting a good, well-rounded fighter. As we know, Rose has some of the best footwork in the strawweight division, good boxing, but she also has those other tools as well. She's good on the ground. Her jiu-jitsu is pretty impressive. I like her high kicks. High kicks are very calculated, very technical. Her clinch work has gotten better. She's getting stronger as well. Her wrestling is getting better. She has very good control now as far as, reversals on the cage. So, style-wise, this could be a big challenge for Marina Rodriguez, but that's what you need. That's what you need. From here, all the fights you take are going to be these type of tests. So, this is just going to make Marina Rodriguez have to step up her game and, become more of a complete fighter. I think when it comes to the offensive striking, Marina could give Rose some problems, but it's going to have to be a style where she puts a lot of pressure on her, and work the leg kicks to slow Rose down, because, Rose is going to be in and out. She's going to be looking for counters, so you have to attack that lead leg first. You have to go to Rose's body as well, hit her with those side kicks, right hands to the body. Just overall mixing up an offensive attack where it just kind of chops Rose down slowly, where you can kind of get her in close quarters. But you have to be careful of the takedown. That's why I said she has to work on her takedown defense, because fighters like Andrade and Rose, to shut your striking down at points, they will take you down. And somebody like Rose, she has no problem with takedowns now, especially against somebody like Marina Rodriguez. That's going to be easy for her, and she'll have good top control. So early on, I could see Rose getting a victory here, but I could see Marina as well. It's still a 50-50 fight. I would give maybe Rose the edge a little bit here, because she definitely has more tools, and she's already been a champion 2 times. So she knows how to make adjustments, and she's fought some high-level strikers and high-level opponents. So she knows how to find ways to win whenever, you know, it's a fight that could lead to a title shot, or it is a title shot, you know. So I still give Rose that edge there. So Marina's going to have to make sure she can bring everything and then some, you know. So, but it's a good fight. You know, beating the number 2 will definitely put her right back into the mix to get that title shot. You know, beat Rose, and will possibly, well, we won't forget what happened with the Amanda Lemos fight, but it'll definitely say, hey, if you can beat her, that'll earn you your title shot after Amanda Lemos, possibly, right? All right, and last but not least, I would say a rematch with the number 1, Carla Esparza. You know, that's probably one of the more safer, logical fights for her that could just put her back in the mix. You know, sometimes if you want to move your fighter right, sometimes matchmakers and managers want to move their fighter right to get them close to, you know, their title shot and get them their shot. They got to go that path with least resistance, right? You know, Carla Esparza, they've done this before. You know, she lost a split decision to Carla. I think, hey, that's a good fight for her. You know, why not? It's the number 1. It would lead to, you have to say the number 1 is the title eliminator, right? Because she beats her, she's number 1, right? So going back into this fight, though, you know, Marina would just have to make sure that she can keep this a standing fight like she did against Mackenzie Dern. You can't keep giving up these rounds and, you know, falling victim to these easy ankle grabs by Carla Esparza, you know, letting her dive in. You have to make sure your takedown defense is on point. Again, you know, in all of these fights, you see it's a consistent thing. It's a pattern, right? Takedown defense, and ground game. You know, that's all of the things that Marina really needs to work on in these fights. You know, her wrestling, takedown defense, right? Like her survival skills on the ground are pretty good. You know, her survival skills are pretty good on the ground. You know, on her back, you know, she still hasn't been submitted yet, but she loses rounds on the ground. I always say that in these videos. Like, Marina may not have been submitted, but she needs to know how to work on the ground. Like, I'm just watching that fight again with Pacheco and Kayla. You know, whenever she's on her back, she's getting in good position where she can either submit you or she can still work. You know, she's still landing good shots on Kayla Harrison when she's on top, you know, in her guard. You know, she knows how to keep Kayla, a big, strong fighter, out of her guard, you know, until she's ready to let her in. And then, boom, she can hit her with the triangle and still land strikes, right? So that's the type of work we need to start seeing from Marina Rodriguez. You know, busy work off of her back, stronger legs, you know, got to get stronger in the hips. I know she loves her Muay Thai, but, you know, and, you know, she likes to fight on the feet. But those are areas where she's going to have to get stronger in it with any of these fighters on this list, especially a fighter like Carla Esparza. You know, the way Lee made those improvements, I was just watching her breakdown. I was like, wow. I was impressed because, you know, Carla is a high-level wrestler, but the next level that Lee took it was just, like I said, taking the fundamentals to another level and always being one step ahead of Carla Esparza. And that's what Marina has to do in this fight. But I know she's not going to get her wrestling to that point yet, so she's going to have to make sure she's one step ahead on the feet. You know, like I say, the jab. You know, she's going to have to make sure that jab is on point. You know, it's all low kicks and jabs in this type of fight, and lining her up with those right hands and just using that tricky footwork. And the tie clinch has to be a big part of, you know, controlling Carla Esparza this time around. You can't keep on, you know, accepting those takedowns and just, you know, easing your way to the ground and hoping you can survive a round, because you're going to lose those rounds, right? So, yeah, all of these are good fights for her, you know, to, you know, say she wins, prove her worthy of getting the title shot. But at the same time, it just shows you that there's some levels that Marina Rodriguez has to add to her game in each of these fights to beat them and then possibly be trouble or a challenge for the champion, right? And look, I'm a Marina fan, but I'm not going to lie. You know, I'm not going to lie and say, oh, she can go in here, starch all 3 of these fighters. Oh, she can land a good right hand on and knock Jessica Andrade out just like that. Oh, she can corner Rose and knock her out, or she going to knock Carla out. I can't say that because the facts are already out there with the Carla fight. It was close. She couldn't beat her. you know, and facts are out there with Rose. You know, Rose has more of a well-rounded game, and Andrade is Andrade, right? But yeah, these are the names I have that could be next for Marina Rodriguez. Who's next? I mean, it's got to be these names, right? Because I feel like beating one of these names will get her a title shot guaranteed. It only has to be one. Because let's take a look here at the rankings real quick. She's already beaten, okay, below her, she's already beaten Yan Jana. She's already beaten Mackenzie Dern. She's already beaten Tisha Torres. She's already beaten Amanda Lemos. Berna Jandaroba's looking for a fight with Michelle Waterson right now. All right, and she's already beat Michelle Waterson, right? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 fights, right? So yeah, those are the names that she's beaten below her. And above her, she's lost to Lemos and Carla. And the names she hasn't fought are Rose and Andrade. All right. So, yeah, that's what I have for my who's next. I got Jessica Andrade, Rose Namajunas, Carla Esparza. Those should be the ones that she should be looking at right now. I mean, like, wow, Marina has a pretty good resume, though. You know, I can't knock it. She's definitely beaten a lot of good strawweights. But to me, these three right here are kind of like the best of the crop that are really going to make her step up her game and prove her to be, you know, title shot worthy at this point. You know, 3 former champions, beating one of these 3 former champions and, you know, doing it in dominant fashion, right? So let me know, guys, what y'all think, who Marina Rodriguez should be fighting next. There are no easy fights out there. You know what I mean? You can't just take a quick tune-up now. I think it's got to be one of these names, y'all. So, yeah, let me know what y'all think. Combo Breaker 99. I'm out. Subscribe. Peace.